Have you ever looked up at our lonely moon and just wondered, what if it had a friend? It's this beautiful, almost romantic idea, right? But the reality would be anything but peaceful. It'd be chaotic and, to be honest, incredibly dangerous.
Okay, so let's just imagine it for a second. Instead of the familiar, predictable night sky we've always known, you look up and see two giant companions lighting up the darkness. It would be an absolutely breathtaking sight. But what would that beautiful view actually do to our planet down here on the ground?
Before we can even begin to understand the chaos of a second moon, we really have to get a grip on the incredible power our one moon already has. It's so much more than just a pretty light in the sky. It's a gravitational anchor for our entire world, and the most obvious way we see its power is in our oceans.
So, here's a common misconception. Most of us think the moon just pulls the water up on the side of Earth that's closest to it. But that's only half the story. The moon's gravity is actually pulling on the entire planet, pulling the solid Earth toward it. This leaves a second bulge of water behind on the far side. So we get these two high tides on opposite sides of the planet, all because of one moon.
A great way to think about this is to picture someone throwing a sledgehammer. The balance point isn't in the middle of the handle, right? It's way down inside the heavy metal head. In this picture, Earth is the head of the sledgehammer. So as the moon orbits us, the Earth doesn't just sit perfectly still, it actually wobbles around this balance point that's deep inside our own planet.
And if you want to see what that gravitational pull and wobble looks like in the real world, just look at this. This is Canada's Bay of Fundy. The difference between high and low tide here is absolutely massive. It is the literal breathing of our oceans, a rhythm that's completely orchestrated by our one single moon. Now, keep that image in your head.
All right, let's shake things up. We're introducing a second moon into the system. Let's say somehow it gets captured into a stable orbit and humanity survives the initial, messy arrival. What would our new normal actually look like? Well, the thing is, it's not just a visual change. It's not just a prettier sky. The moment you add another moon, you start rewriting the planet's most fundamental rules. We're talking about the length of our day, our weather patterns, our climate. Even our basic experience of light and darkness would be thrown completely out of whack. But honestly, all of those changes, they're nothing compared to what would happen to the oceans. That predictable rhythm we just saw in the Bay of Fundy would be shattered. It would be replaced by a terrifying and totally chaotic new dance. With our one moon, it's simple. We get two high tides and two low tides about every 24 hours. You can literally set your watch by it. But what happens when you have two massive objects pulling on the oceans from different directions, moving at different speeds? The answer isn't as simple as, oh, we'll just get four tides. No way. Research into planets that have multiple moons shows that this whole thing is just a recipe for total instability. The gravitational poles would interfere with each other, creating what's called a beating pattern. So on some days, the poles might line up and amplify each other, creating monster tides. On other days, they could cancel each other out, making the tides bizarrely small. All predictability would just go out the window. And this is where it gets really weird. Physics simulations have shown that under certain alignments, the gravitational chaos wouldn't create 2 or 4 high tides. No, it could create a stable pattern of 3 high tides per day, a totally alien rhythm for our planet's oceans. And what happens when those tidal forces amplify? Well, the effect will be nothing short of apocalyptic. Some models suggest that the combined pull could create tides up to a kilometer high. These aren't waves we're talking about. These are moving walls of water, scouring coastlines and triggering constant, globe-spanning tsunamis. And that incredible stress wouldn't just stop at the shoreline. All of that constant, massive squeezing and pulling from two moons would be felt deep within the rock of the planet itself. See, it's not just the water that has tides. The solid Earth has them too. The crust itself stretches and flexes. Now imagine magnifying that force, making it completely unpredictable. The result? A geologically furious planet. We'd see dormant volcanoes roaring back to life and a huge increase in both the frequency and the power of earthquakes. So after the oceans are in chaos and the land is shaking, what would this new world mean for life itself? Well, after the tsunamis and earthquakes settled into a violent new normal, another huge change would happen: the end of true darkness. It's incredible, really, how sensitive life is to even the faintest light.
Our full moon gives off only about zero point 0.3 lux of light. With 2 bright moons lighting up the sky, you might never experience anything darker than a kind of perpetual, eerie twilight.
And these are not small changes. This is a complete and total upheaval of the natural world. Think about it. Nocturnal animals, creatures that have evolved over millions of years to hunt and hide in darkness, would have their entire world turned upside down. Basic biological cycles that are governed by light, like the production of melatonin, would be broken, leading to widespread stress and likely ecosystem collapse. So, after the oceans boil, the land shakes, and the very rhythm of night and day is completely broken, what's the final verdict on a two-moon Earth?
I think the physicist Neil Commons just sums it up perfectly. He said that as a second moon settled into its orbit, we would experience hell on Earth. It wouldn't be a beautiful new addition to our sky. It would be a catastrophe, unleashing a chain reaction of disasters that would completely reshape our world.
And all of this leads to one really crucial realization. Our moon isn't just an accessory. It's not just a decoration. Its gravitational pull provides a steady, predictable rhythm. It is the pacemaker that has allowed our planet's oceans, its crust, and all of the life on it to exist in this delicate, stable balance for billions of years. So the next time you look up at our solitary moon, remember, it's not just lighting up the darkness. It's actively holding back the chaos. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other cosmic fine-tuning, what other lucky accidents are quietly at work right now, just making our fragile existence possible?